Greetings. Today we continue part 3 of Living Honestly to Honor God from 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 11 and 12. After 40 years of pastoring and 50 years of preaching, I can honestly say that more and more I get the idea that we live in a world of spiritual charlatans, mere pretenders of true biblical holiness. By use of spiritual illusion and alchemy, they are self-pronounced, quote, holy ones. How many people are living very unholy, ungodly, and sinful lives according to the standards of God's Word, and yet they still call themselves Christians? Just because we use the word Christian as a predicate adjective to describe ourselves does not make us like Christ. Just because we add the word Christian as an adjective before something does not make it holy. Yet we could find that so-called Christians will go to Christian bars and drink Christian beer and hook up with some stranger and commit Christian fornication, believing it's all good because they call it Christian. In Exodus 32, you'll find that the children of Israel, with Aaron's help and direction, made and then gave worship to 2 golden calves like they had seen and served in Egypt. They had music. They ate. They drank intoxicating beverages. They took off their clothes and they committed sins for which God sent Moses to render immediate judgment. Although they were worshiping according to the pattern which they had learned from the world, it was not acceptable to God because it did not conform to His standards. And I submit the same is still true today. Peter is speaking directly to those whom he describes as beloved ones about their conversation, about their manner of life, about their conduct, about their walk through this world. The word translated conversation, Strong's 391, and 1 Peter 2:12 is used 13 times as a noun in the New Testament. Peter used 8 of the 13, 6 in 1 Peter and 2 in 2 Peter. The word translated conversation, number 390, is found in 1 Peter 1:17. That would be the other form, the verb form, noun forms. It's used 11 times as a verb here. Peter uses 2 of the 11, one in 1 Peter, one in 2 Peter. In 1 Peter 3:15, we find it when it says, "But if I tarry long, thou mayest know how thou oughtest to behave." Your manner of life, your conduct, thyself in the house of God, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and ground of truth. 2 Peter 2:18 says, "For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness, those who are clean to escape from them who live in error." Again, the word live there is the same word. Strong's 390. These 2 verses provide a grave contrast of one's actions, which appear not to be understood by many professing Christians today. We need to understand that the root word from which conversation comes has to do with a turning back and a turning forth, as a sentry who marches up and down or back and forth in course of his duty. 1 Timothy 3:15 declares that people need to be taught how to behave in the house or the household of God. That is, our conduct or manner of life is to be patterned after God's Word. 2 Peter 2:12 describes a life lived in error. That would be one contrary to the principle of God's Word and the example of Jesus Christ. Paul gave a personal testimony concerning his former lifestyle in the book of Galatians 1 and verse 13. He says, "For you have heard of my conversation, my manner of life, my conduct in time past in the Jews' religion, how that beyond measure I persecuted the church of God and wasted it." He taught the Ephesians to do the same in chapter 4, verse 22, when he says that you put off concerning the former conversation, the former manner of life, the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust. He also admonished Timothy to be an example of a proper lifestyle in 1 Timothy 4:12, when he said, "Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, in purity." God's word declares God's expectations for his children, what they are to do, what they are not to do, and the manner in which these things are to be done.